Hi, friend. Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a little while since I've been behind the mic, and I thought this will be the perfect episode back in because it is something I live and breathe every single day journaling. If you ever felt overwhelmed, anxious, or just need a way to clear your thoughts and shift your perspective quickly, then grab a pen and paper because I'm going to share with you my absolute favorite journal. The one that has carried me through so many different seasons in life. I recommend journaling to my clients, my students, and honestly, anyone who will listen because it has been so transformative for me. Welcome to Fertility and Wholeness Podcast. Are you tired of seeing that test be negative month after month? Will you ever stop having to take test after test? Are you scared of all the medical terminology, office visits, and misinformation you see at every turn on your infertility journey? If you answer yes to any of those, you're not alone. You are at the right place. I'm so happy you're here with us. My name is Ariana. I'm a fertility care practitioner and a wholeness coach with over a decade of experience on the field. I created this podcast because I know what it is to feel alone and lost while navigating fertility problems. And after helping hundreds of women, teaching them how to not protract their cycles, boost their fertility, and navigate their monthly emotional roller coaster and get pregnant naturally, I am on a mission to empower women to take charge of their fertility journey. In this podcast, you will find heartfelt conversations, education, tips on how to take care of and understand your fertility, emotional support, simple lifestyle changes to boost your fertility, nutrition, self-care routines, tips for handling stress and anxiety with ease. We have amazing, exciting expert interviews and guests, inspirational stories, and practical advice on preparing for pregnancy and joyful delivery. Are you ready to reclaim your health, your life, and become pregnant naturally? If so, grab your green juice and prenatal vitamins. This episode is just what the doctor ordered. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Ariana, but I already talked to my husband, I have a friend I text, and I see a therapist sometimes. Why would I journal? I get it. As women, especially when we're walking through something as vulnerable as the fertility journey, we can feel like our heart is on display 24/7. Sometimes, even people who love us the most don't fully understand the weight that we're carrying. Journaling has been my safe space for these moments. It's where I can pour out every thought, every fear, every prayer, completely unfiltered. It is a place where I don't have to edit myself or worry about being misunderstood. And the beautiful thing, when you see your thoughts on paper, something shifts. You start to see patterns. You start to separate what's actually true from what your emotions are telling you. And you start to hear your own voice again. And today, I actually brought a friend with me to this conversation because she knows firsthand the power of journaling too. Every Saturday, we meet for accountability. We share the takeaways, the shifts we had through the week, and so often our breakthroughs come directly from what we have written in our journals. So I'm glad that you're here. Can you share a little bit about your experience with journaling and why this practice has been so powerful and impactful for you?
I would love to. Thank you so much, Ariana. I am like Ariana in that I would love to tell everyone about how much journaling means to me. I think the most impactful thing for journaling has been getting all these thoughts from my mind onto paper and then seeing the journey. I love how I can really dig in more deeply once I'm reading some of the things that I didn't even think were going on inside as I'm just writing freely and trying to understand my own journey, but also being able to not just stop there, but be able to move past some of these things that I'm experiencing by rereading it, praying, and meditating with it. So for me, it's just been such a lifesaver in having a place I can really process in a deeper way and start to really understand my struggles, but also my victories. I am an elementary school teacher, so that's my day job. And then I also have the privilege of coaching women in their journey of wholeness and being their guide and being their support as they're journeying through that. So those are two things that are very special to me. And in addition to that, I do some writing. I love to write. So I've published a book, which is a tribute to a friend of mine who is a Holocaust survivor. That is something so precious to me. So I published that about a year and a half ago. And now I'm working on some other writing, but it's still in progress. So that is something that I'm still so passionate about. I hope can lift other people up and help them in their journeys.
Today, we're going to talk all about journaling, and the journal that we use, is the Metanoia Catholic Journal. My podcast isn't Catholic or faith-based, but you know me, I talk about wholeness, and for me, journaling has been the most powerful tool for wholeness, growth, and peace of mind. So when I do the journal, I always think like I come in and I don't know what am I going to find, right? It's almost like a discovery journey. So one of the things that I notice with the journal is that I can have a difficult day or a good day, and it's still going to be impactful. For me, journal is not negotiable with my goals. I'm very ambitious, have big goals, and sometimes I'm not making progress. So I feel like I'm not making progress. And when I journal, I'm able to see where I'm getting stuck. And it has been so good for me to see they can be really subtle, and I'm not able to pinpoint it right off the bat. And as someone that has gotten therapy before, I sometimes felt like the 1 hour in therapy wasn't enough for me. I'm like, I need more. I feel like I barely got to the tip of it. And the journal allowed me to process things on real time without having a therapist and a speed dial every day. So that's one of the things that I tell my clients, that journaling is going to give them the space without having me or a therapist or somebody, a professional, in the speed dial, and do it on their own time, to their own comfort. Like some days I'm able to tackle big things in the journal. Some other days I'm like, I don't think I want to go through that specific wound. I'm like, today I'm going with the vanilla version of the journal, right?
I think the journal has been a lifesaver for me because it always starts out in this format, the Metanoia Journal, with success. And so for me, it can be very easy to dial down on, like you said, the failures or not seeing the progress in my goals, but just starting with success helps me really look at the gain instead of the gap, honestly. And even getting into that space of gratitude and every day writing 10 and really digging deeply into that and seeing all the good and coming from a place of life, if it's a good day or a bad day. Sometimes it's easier to do those parts than others, but it always really grounds me in something good, and knowing that as I'm on my journey, there's good things every day, even if it's a struggle. There's always something to be grateful for. And the other thing that I love too is it helps me focus on goals. I can be a person, I see lots of shiny things, and there's a lot of details to my work and to my life. So it really helps me focus on my big goals and knowing that I'm not alone in those goals, that not only is there a community and other people that I connect with, but also for me, faith being so important, that God is helping me in this journey. Like it's not something I'm on my own. So those things at the beginning of the journal help set up the rest of it. Even if there is struggles I have to unpack, things I'm struggling with, maybe thoughts or mental blocks that are really difficult for me, I already know when I move into there, I'm starting from a really good place and I'm seeing why. Like, it's kind of like touching that big why every day of like, oh, this is why I'm like keeping on going in this journey, or I can celebrate my success and really enjoy that success too. So I think that's one thing I really love about this journal, and I love about how it's transformed my journey. Because when I was journaling on my own and doing my brain dumps, sometimes I would go like right away for all of the things I'm doing wrong and all the things I'm frustrated with, but I would kind of spin in that circle instead of kind of looking up to the greater perspective of, oh, there is good things today, and I have had successes, and I do have this big goal, and I'm working towards it, and it's a big race. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
So without further ado, grab your pen and paper. We're going to go through the parts of the journal. Like Theresa said, first part is celebrating success from yesterday. Again, it helps to honor the journey. Even when the day didn't go as planned, you can always look back on your day and celebrate. And it could be something like Theresa said, very subtle. And the journal has space as 3 lines. So you can write down at least 3 things that you can celebrate from the day before. For me, it looks like I got laundry done, I say my prayers, and I went to bed on time. It doesn't have to be massive. Sometimes it is massive, but celebrating and looking back, like the things that went well yesterday. It could be like I had dinner with a friend. My husband and I had a great conversation. The commute wasn't bad. Like look back on your day and look at the things that went well. What have you, Theresa, discovered that it was a success that you're like, oh, I can't believe I'm writing this as a success from yesterday?
I think one day I wrote down like waking up just because I had like so much to do and I was so tired, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a rock star. I woke up and then I was laughing because I was like, oh, I guess that's not that big of a thing, but that day it was so big to me. So I remember laughing at myself like, oh, good job, Tracy, woke up. But for me, I was so worried the night before, like, oh, I'm not going to wake up and whatever, because I was so tired. So I think that was kind of a funny one that I laughed about later.
Yeah. And I'm just sharing this so you understand that it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. It could just be the steps are very simple. So step number 2 is writing 10 gratitudes. Writing down what you're grateful for, it really shifts everything. Like Theresa just shared a few minutes ago, gratitude has carried me through trials and it opens my eyes to what I already have. As an immigrant, sometimes I'm even grateful that I have running water, right? Simple things like I have internet connection. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful because of my kids finished school. I'm grateful because my client showed up on time. I'm grateful because I got a new client or I have resources. I'm grateful for my husband because he cooked dinner. I'm grateful because my son didn't like scribble on the walls today. So it could be something so simple, but it reorients you. So I know, Theresa, you briefly shared how was that impactful for you. Can you chime in on this one?
Oh, I'd love to. Actually, this one has been a challenge sometimes in a good way for me. And I'll just share one thing. I was really having a struggle in a relationship. And I remember somebody said, well, what are you grateful for? And I kind of took that to my journal because I was so hurt and things were just going badly. I wrote down like 10 things about that person, although this was like a painful thing for me in that moment, about what I was grateful for. And the next time that we had a conversation, I found that I changed because I was thinking about what is good about that person, what I was very grateful for about them. So I think it also helped me in a good way, sometimes in going a bit deeper, because it would have been easy to maybe borrow for me to do the vanilla version of like, oh, I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for like a great lunch. And here I was challenged to, from that person's comment, it really challenged me taking that to the journal and saying, oh, like these are the really things that I'm grateful for, even if it was to like sometimes in the difficulty that I was learning something about myself and my own limitations, right, from this person because we were having these struggles. So I think it changed me in such a good way in that way too. So it can also be a deep dive in like changing your own heart, which was my experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Well, we already gone to part 1 and 2. Now we're with part 3, which is contemplating your goals with God and thinking about the virtue. For me, this is aligning my goals with my values. It keeps me grounded in who I want to become and not just what I want to achieve. So I already shared that I'm a very ambitious person. So I have goals that might take 5 years, right? But writing down these goals every day has allowed me to see that there is a bigger purpose that God is calling me to do. And this is something that I tell my kids. If you're going to embark in a huge journey, you make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons with purity of intention. And I know a lot of women in my podcast have a big, ambitious goal, something supernatural like becoming pregnant. So writing down that and knowing why you're doing this is going to be so helpful for you. And there is a bigger vision, right, than just getting a positive pregnancy test. But in this section, I write down usually like my dream of having a podcast, right? I wanted to have a podcast. So I wrote down having a podcast, reaching 1,000 downloads, which is massive to me at the time. It's still massive right now. I write down every day why I want to do it, what is it going to take. And it makes me think, once you write down your goals, I have to think about the virtue that I need. And for me, it's usually hope, perseverance, and faith. I have to have faith that it's going to happen. Like I said, it's a journey and it might take me 5 years to get there. So I don't lose sight of why I'm doing this. There are some more concrete goals, but those I write down in a different paper. Here I bring like my big vision to God. How do you use this section, Theresa?
For me, it's the same of writing down the goals I'm focusing on in this season and the big ones. I don't usually put this for small goals because I find with the big goals, I need so much encouragement and I need like that daily commitment to the greater vision and to also see, my own significance and how I'm contributing through these goals, right? So for me, writing a book or, even some of the greater goals that are in that line for me, it's helping me see, what I'm doing, but why I'm doing it, like how I can contribute and serve other people through these big goals. And sometimes ones that seem really impossible to me in that moment. So I usually put the big goals in there and it really has helped encourage me of like, yes, I'm doing this and I'm still committing to it every day. And I'm helping myself believe that it's possible when sometimes in the moment and in that day, it feels so impossible.
Thank you for sharing. So we're already gone to the step 1, 2, and 3. And you can see this is already juicy, but it's going to get better. So with number 4 is the daily thought recon. So in this section is the one where you write down the thought that has been on your mind, then break down the facts. This is where the journal helps me shift from feeling anxious and stuck and see what exactly all this is coming from. And what I have found in this section is that I start with a topic usually. Sometimes I don't have a topic. It's the first thought that comes out in the morning. You might find that you wake up and you're like, have this rush of thoughts like, I don't want to get to work on late, or I don't like my coworker, or my boss is difficult, or my mother-in-law say something to me that I didn't appreciate. So these are the things that, the first thought or the thought that I want to bring to the journal. And then I develop the same topic. In the fertility journey, you can be like, I have this appointment with the doctor and I'm thinking that it's not going to be good. We're not making progress. My husband won't be able to come in. I don't feel supported. I feel judged. You can really just go deep.
This has been an amazing section for me just to see my thoughts out on paper, but then also go to the heart of it. Of sometimes I'll have 5, like you were just sharing 5 or 6 thoughts that are like so hard to navigate, and where I'm feeling like, oh, this is like such a tough day. I'm struggling with all these things, but then I can see even within them, like there's a connection. Like some of these thoughts all might be connection, maybe because it's a season of high demand. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of deadlines. And I'm noticing all of my thoughts are really related to that. And kind of seeing, oh, that makes sense of why all these thoughts are coming up. And instead of staying in that place of overwhelm, it can help just to get it out there and realize, well, that makes sense because this is a high pressure season. And so it's helped to take some of the pressure off and just understanding like these are thoughts that are going on and it's okay that I'm having these thoughts, but I don't have to be a slave to these thoughts. I can kind of dig into them a little deeper as we kind of go on. We'll probably talk about that, but I can dig in them a little deeper and see what is behind some of these thoughts and why I'm having them. And kind of the root of them and the connection between them. Because often I find when there is that big 5 or 6 thoughts that are just like so intensely on my mind that I'm ruminating on, going over and over again in my mind, that there's a reason and there's often a connection.
And I loved how in this section specifically, after you write down all the things, there is one important question. What are the facts? And once you ask yourself that question, you're like, I'm making a big deal out of something, or this is not something that I can control. Or third, this is something that will work itself out if I'm intentional, right? Sometimes I remember bringing up to this section financial stress. And I remember like thinking like, I don't think I'm gonna like be able to afford this. I think it's gonna be too hard. I think like I don't have the support. I don't have the resources. And so I remember getting to the end, like, what are the facts? And I'm like thinking like, oh yeah, like the fact is that I don't have to make this decision today. So I don't know why I'm spending like 10 hours thinking about something that is not a decision I have to make today. I have to talk to these 3 people before I even like get there. So how this question at the end of this section has helped you?
I think it's really helped me to focus on what is true and not just my feelings about what is true. And so even, for example, something with deadlines or people's expectations, instead of feeling overwhelmed, I can see, well, okay, these things are due and this is something that there's space and time to do it, but it's still on my mind, but I can kind of put the focus in the right place. Or even sometimes when I'm looking at thoughts and I'm having this, like, this person thinks this, it might not even be true. So getting to the facts of just, okay, what am I actually up against? And where have my thoughts kind of run off the tracks where I can bring them back and think, well, that's an unknown, or like you said, out of my control. And then these are the things that I do have some agency over and that I know are true. So it kind of helps focus and prune some of those thoughts that can sometimes run rampant otherwise.
This is actually the foundation of the journal, but then now we're going to move into the processing section. And what you do in step 5 is you capture one thought, the one that you're like, this is the one that I'm like rumbling, that I'm like, is a hurricane in my head, and you reflect on it. It's a place where you slow down and you start to see patterns. So in number 5, you're going to capture that thought, and you're going to reflect. And in that reflection, you might put on your feelings. Like, this thought makes me feel unworthy. It makes me feel resentful. It makes me feel angry. When I think about this, I think it's unfair. I don't know why this is happening. And again, this is just the feelings that we get from that specific thought that you're kind of like transferring over to process. What I found in this one is that I notice feelings or things or even behaviors that I wasn't even aware of. And I was sharing with Theresa earlier during our accountability section that I was journaling and I realized I was feeling defeated and I wasn't even aware of it. So I kept feeling like this low energy and that I wasn't able to cope with the normal stuff, normal demands. And when I started journaling and I transferred a thought that I was working through, I reflected and I was like, why do I feel so like defeated? And that was a huge breakthrough for me because it allowed me to see that I was approaching things in a state that it wasn't helpful to me. Share with us, Theresa, what this section has done for you. The section name is Capture and Reflect.
Yeah, I think for me, it's also brought to the surface things that tend to be my pitfalls, right? So as I'm going through these thoughts, I'm like, oh, I've seen this before. And it helps me really understand, maybe discouragement. Oh, I'm getting discouraged because I'm often like thinking I should make more progress than I am, and I'm not looking at my successes enough, or I'm approaching this from maybe a place of wanting things to look a certain way, and then finding out, oh, like they're playing out differently, and that might be coming against like a deeper hurt or a deeper fear that is in me. So it's really helped bring some of that to the surface, and then help me to see, what if I looked at this a different way, or how can I let go of my own expectations or my own fears and keep on the journey. And some things will work out better than expected, and the things that are going to remain difficult, I don't have to suffer from my own disappointment. I can keep moving forward from there. So I think it's really helped just shine a light on what is my own perspective that might need to shift here.
And I feel like it actually leads into the next section, which is number 6, release. And this is the only section of the journal that actually has prompts that you're going to fill out. This is where I let go what I'm holding on tightly. Some days it's control, some days it's fear. For me, when I write it down, it makes it easier. So this section of the journal starts, again, because this is a faith-based journal, it starts with Lord, I repent. And then you'll write anything that you want to repent. For me, sometimes is self-reliance, anger, pride. I name things that I'm seeing as pattern. Sometimes I repent because I'm being too prideful. But pride is showing in my being perfect. So you write down the things that you are seeing as patterns. Again, because this is a faith journal, you're talking to God and repenting to God. If you're somebody of faith, you probably relate very well to this, but you can also do a forgiveness exercise by yourself. And it has closure because after you name all those things, you ask, in the name of Jesus, I forgive. When you say I forgive, in that section is a blank, and you put yourself, your boss, your friend, anybody that you think, I need to let go of this. And a lot of the times I just put myself. Honestly, I think 99% of the times it's myself. I don't put names. There is not a person to it. And it's so enlightening to see that I sometimes it's a person, a thing, or a place, and it's actually me that I have to write down in there. And the next prompt is for. Why am I forgiving myself for? For being a perfectionist, for being a stubborn, for anything that I have to journal through. And the next section, again, this is the only section that has prompts. It will have, in the name of Jesus, I renounce. And that's when you're like, I don't want this in my life anymore. This is not the best version of me. So renouncing actually helps you to separate from like, this is not something that is good for me. This is not something that is helping me. This is not something that is going to bring any fruits. So renouncing actually, even if you're not doing in the faith arena, it will still help you to recognize that this is not something that is good for you and have words for it. And again, in this section, we'll close with Jesus. I ask you to command all of that I have renounced and leave quietly and immediately. So it's like, boom, you got this out of the way. It's gone. So I know this is like the most transformative breakthrough section of the journal. What do you have found in this section, Theresa?
I found the same. I know when I was first working into this journal, and I didn't get to that section yet, it was a good journal. But once I built up, because at first I had this thought, I don't have time to journal this whole structure every day. But in the process, I thought, okay, I'll start with one step, and building up to it. Once I integrated this into my daily routine all the way to this part and built up to that, I was so amazed, because really, to me, that was a place I made a choice. And my first choice was letting it go, which sounds like it's easy, but it's a really hard step to say, like, I'm going to let go of this. I'm not going to hold this, and try to control this or keep it here. I'm going to say, what, I'm willing to let go of this thing that actually hasn't been good for me. And then I think forgiveness is so important. And for me, just learning what forgiveness is not saying that thing is okay, like actually counting the cost and saying, no, this person hurt me. Sometimes it's myself, often it's myself too, but this like acknowledging, okay, someone made a comment and I'm not just being oversensitive. It actually hurt me. It touched something in me that was really hard, but I'm choosing to forgive it, not to say it's okay, but to actually allow myself freedom. I'm not going to hold it against them. I'm going to say, I'm I'm still going to love myself and I'm going to set that person free. But that doesn't mean that what they said was okay, right? And I can do what I need to do to like communicate my own experience, but I'm actually going to set them free and set myself free, because forgiveness actually for me has given me great freedom more than even the other person, right? And then, I think I'm learning so much the power of words. So renouncing it, and when I can, and I don't always, but I like to even say this part out loud after I've written it, because somebody told me about renouncing, just like announcing, the good news to yourself, of like, instead of saying, I'm so disorganized. When I'm busy, I always think I'm disorganized. Whether or not that's true, I always feel that. But, and just announcing the good news of like, you know, I'm actually, that's not my identity. I'm actually able to move forward, and I'm not going to keep, those beliefs, those thoughts, even those behaviors. Even if I'm not 100% successful, I'm going to announce, like, it's possible that I can grow. It's possible that I can change, and I'm committed to that change, and I'm going to work at it till I get it. So for me, it's almost like, instead of announcing the bad news of all my failures, which are, my weaknesses are always with me, always with us, right? And that's okay. Like, it's part of being human. But just to announce, like, no, I'm committing to believing and to working towards and taking actions and deciding that growth is possible, even if it's incremental, tiny little steps. Like, I can have hope again. So this has been a really hopeful, and actually the place where I've made decisions that have changed, how I'm showing up the next day. So I love this section. And even as it took time for me to learn about it and learn to use it, it's really been the place where I found the biggest shifts for myself.
Well, thank you for sharing. And now we're moving into section 7, which is faith-based in the journal, but this is a deeply personal part for me. It helps me to listen. It helps me to reflect. In this journal, it calls for a scripture verse to reflect on. What is God saying to me? What is Jesus? What is faith saying to me? And what I like to do lately with the new AI tools that we have, I go through ChatGPT and I put, I am journaling, and what is coming up is discouragement. Give me 5 verses to reflect on being discouraged. ChatGPT comes up with 5 verses for me. So I don't have to think about, like, I don't know the Bible. I don't know what I look of a verse of being discouraged. And then when I look, again, that could get you distracted because you're going through your phone to ChatGPT. But I promise you, it makes it a lot easier for you to look for those things. So one thing that it can come up is Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. There is nothing I shall want. And it helps me so much to reorient myself. This is where I reflect, like, what is God really doing? What am I doing? What is the vision? And to see that there is something bigger and that God has my back, pretty much. So I highly encourage you, if you're not somebody of faith, you can go and search up Google and say, I need wisdom, like a wisdom verse on something, like anything that is coming out up to that point. You take that and look for a verse, a proverb, anything that speaks to you. And in this case, we're going to the Bible. And in the Bible, you will look for a verse and look what God is saying to you. And like I said, I use ChatGPT. I'm not a Bible expert. ChatGPT, I look for it. I read through it. I reflect, because I already done all the groundwork. It allows me to see God in my life in a more deeper way. Before I was doing this, I was meditating just in the Bible or just doing meditations. And I realized my mind was very unsettled. I was going everywhere. And it's because I wasn't processing my thoughts, seeing the good of my life, releasing, repenting. And I wanted to show up to my prayer time. And all those things were coming with me. And I wasn't able to focus in my prayer time. So if you are somebody that struggles with prayer, you're like, I'm scattered, I can't think through, I'm thinking about the dishes and the laundry and what my coworker said to me yesterday and what the doctor visit is going to be tomorrow, the journal is going to give you the foundation so you can actually get to this section and pray. I was doing it the other way, and you can totally do it. I didn't feel like it was fruitful. Of course, God can work with anything that we bring. Like, we can bring one one loaf of bread and he makes thousands, right? But even that meditation has helped me so much to see that God is fruitful and abundant, and he can make a lot with the one love and two fishes that I bring to the table. Journal steps are really going to help you to set that foundation so you can show up to your prayer life better. And that's what it has done for me. Because for the longest time, I'm like, I want to do a holy hour. Yeah. I was like sitting thinking about 20 things instead of like really praying and I'm telling God what was wrong with people instead of looking at myself and all the things. You want to share, Theresa, what number 7 has done for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed with number 7, it helps me see really the tones of God's love. And also, just sometimes I can feel really alone in my struggles, even though every struggle I have, it's millions people throughout history have had it, right? But I think this step helps me see, throughout history, sometimes in Bible stories, or you can kind of see like these are all things people have faced and overcome, and that I'm not alone. And even just to see how God is speaking to me in my own life. Because like Ariana shared, processing and kind of seeing what is the difficult thing now? Like what is my roadblock now? And then really inviting the Lord to speak into that space. And for me, often, because I love music, there'll be like songs that will come up, that are connected to scripture that I find, oh, like I'm hearing that in my heart, kind of like that's coming to mind and really speaking into my experience and helping me to see the journey differently, that it's a longer journey and that I'm not alone in it, and that God's love and support and wisdom is there to carry me through as well. So I think this section helps me see, even if I have a certain interpretation based on my own struggles, that there's a bigger picture and that God is helping me, and there's wisdom and there's support and there is a way through. I'm not the only one going through this. People throughout history have been through difficult times. And even though there's things in my life that I feel helpless about, I'm not alone, that I'm being carried, and there is something on the other side and a way through. So this has been a part of the journal that's really helped me see that love, see that support, see the relevance in my own journey and how I'm being supported through that.
And, in this section, you will write your own reflection of how God is speaking to you, but it has a line for a summary. And in the summary, what I find is that I use a script. I usually come up with a script at the end, which is a shift that I have. Like, it's like kind of like the wrap up one sentence that you're going to keep through the day and you're going to keep reflecting on. The summary has also a prompt. Lord, infuse me with a virtue. This is what I think about, like, how am I growing? How am I growing from this? How am I growing on faith, perseverance, fortitude, anything that you feel like you're growing towards? It's good to have a virtue in mind. And it closes with a moment with gratitude, thanking God because you obviously have the time. You're able to see through this. It's not an easy one. The flow, as you can see, is a powerful one. It takes time. And I usually recommend my clients and anybody that I talk to about the journal to do it at least 3 times a week. It has been a tool, like I said, for me. I usually aim to do it 5 times because that's what I see the most fruits, especially when I'm in the season that it's very demanding of me. I notice I have to process things faster or daily. But if you're not able to do it all, I think even choosing parts of the journal to do. The journal itself is a therapy session. I tell people, like, this is a therapy session for me and it's free. And I just have to grab this notebook and do it. It has helped me process emotions, grow in gratitude. And if you want to try this specific journal, I'm going to link the Metanoia Catholic Journal in the show notes. does not have anything specifically Catholic. It's just what I explained to you right now. That's what you get. The 7 sections. It has been a game changer. I've been journaling with this journal for like 4 years. When somebody signs up to my program, they get a journal, they get this specific journal. And I've been thinking a lot about creating my own journal in the future, one that is specifically designed for women trying to conceive. But for now, I just want to share what has been helping me so much, what I tell my clients to use. So maybe today, for your next step, is to grab a notebook. If you already have one, just start with gratitude. Start simple. I always tell women the journal is massive. It can take me 30 minutes. Some days takes me 45 minutes.
I think I would just really encourage women, especially women that feel very busy, just to be willing to give it a shot. And like you said, even if you did it in chunks, like usually the first part's very fast. So even if you're like, I only have 5 minutes this morning, you can do that first 2 sections in 5 minutes and then, like come into it and build up, because that's really what I did. But just know that, even though there's no cost for this therapy, it's a cost of time. And everyone is trying to find time for everything in their schedule, but it's so worth it. It has given me so many benefits that, like Ariana, I commit to that as something that I put as a priority, because it changes how I'm able to show up and how I'm able to navigate difficult and unexpected challenges that come my way. So I would just really encourage women to give it a shot and give themselves grace in taking it step by step and being able to harvest some of those benefits that we both received from this journal.
Yeah. As I started this episode, I told you that Theresa and I meet every Saturday for accountability. So Theresa is my accountability partner, and sharing with her every week what I've been learning, what are my breakthroughs, things that I want to commit. I show up and I kind of like open up. I don't open up my journal. We don't come with our journal, but we really show up and say, I'm committing to 3 days. I'm committing to 4 days. And she is like having my workout buddy, right? Working out intentionally every day. She's in Canada. I'm in the US. I'm in Los Angeles. So really far apart. But if you have someone like that in your life, even your husband, somebody that you can trust, buy 2 journals, not just one. You're going to love it. And you're going to find somebody that you're like, if we journal, can we just share our thoughts, right? Somebody that can bounce off. If you have a therapist, you might find that your therapy sessions are going to be more fruitful. If you have a friend like me and Theresa, we're both coaches. We both believe in the work. Theresa actually specializes in Metanoia Catholic coaching. So if you want to connect with her, I'm going to link her information in the show notes so you can connect with her directly. Her feelings, you can work with Theresa. Theresa's amazing. I have worked with her side by side. And she has been, like I say, my accountability partner for a few years. We did our wholeness coaching together and our certification together. So that's how I met her. We really just meet every Saturday and talk about journal stuff. We talk about our goals. We talk about our gratitudes. When I miss a Saturday because an event, I always think like, oh, I have something to share with Theresa about this. If you also need somebody that you want to connect with, you can reach out to us. We are trained to journey with you.
I would just like to say you're not alone. And this journey, doing the journal together, being accountability partners, has been one of the most enriching experiences, because we're meant to be in community and to not be feeling like we have to do this alone. And so I really encourage you, if you're not sure how to start, reach out to one of us. And even if you are thinking, well, like I have my people, then really, really embrace that. And I know for me, myself and Ariana, we talk about, okay, like, please hold me accountable to these things, and really helps focus our session too. So we know, okay, these are the things we're working on. So if you are asking someone to be your accountability partner, just say, okay, I'm asking for you to check up on these things, and know that they're there to support you in that and help you not to let yourself down, to say, okay, like, these things I committed to, I'm going to follow through because I know this person's going to ask me about it. And that really helps us, because we all are trying to navigate challenging and very busy schedules. So I would just encourage you to reach out and to make use of these tools that can help us move forward and be supported.
Okay, friends, until next time, stay whole, stay fruitful, and know that you're not alone. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, we got a special treat for you. Join our free Facebook group where you can connect with other amazing women and share your thoughts. Join us by clicking in the link in the show notes. We can't wait to welcome you into our supportive community. And don't forget to come back for our next episode, where we'll be sharing even more inspiring stories, encouraging tips, educational insights, and practical strategies. Oh, and before you go, we have a tiny favor to ask. If you found today's episode uplifting and helpful, please leave us a review. It's like giving us a virtual hug, and it helps other amazing women like you find our show. Plus, it makes us smile from ear to ear. And hey, why stop there? Share the love. Tell your Betsies, your mom, your sister, and even your favorite barista about our podcast. The more, the merrier.